Hey guys, it's the Casual Commander here. Just going to take you through a deck tech of my 4-color zombies deck. So our commanders for this are going to be Kraum, Ludevic's Opus, who's a 4/4 zombie horror with flying and haste. Whenever an opponent casts his or her second spell each turn, draw a card. And then we've also got Ravos Soultender. He's a human cleric. I know he's not a zombie. He's flying, 2/2. He acts as like an anthem effect, so all your other creatures get +1/+1, which synergizes really nicely with zombies and other tribal styles. And then at the beginning of our upkeep, we can return a target creature card from my graveyard to your hand. So these two are really convenient as a pair because they just give you a lot of utility and kind of card advantage. So like Kraum just draws you extra cards, and on top of that, he's just a flying beater. And then Ravos pumps up everybody on your squad, and then also gets you cards back from your graveyard, creature cards at least. So that's why they both give us access to 4 colors, which is really nice. And then they synergize with the deck. And the reason we're playing 4 colors is to give us access to some of these big scary zombies. So like Mundar, this will load. So he's a haste 6/6. When he attacks, defending player sacrifices a creature, and then whenever a player sacks a creature, it gets a counter. So you basically get to attack for 7, and also like fleshbag marauder them, which is great. So he's a really strong one. We're playing the white so we can get in a Necromancer's Covenant. This can be really strong late game. It gives all your zombies lifelink because it's kind of Lord effect, but you can choose a player, so whether that's us, because we will be filling up our graveyard with this deck, or another player because we want to get rid of all their creatures in their graveyard. And you exile all those creature cards, and then you get a 2/2 black zombie for each card exiled that way. And the tokens are really good with all of our lords, and then just the lifelink is nice as well. Some of our other big zombies are Machias the Unhallowed, which acts as a lord and gives all of our zombies Undying. He's also a 5/5 body with Intimidate, and whenever a human deals damage to us, we destroy it. I've got Nekusar for some extra card draw and ping damage. Lightning Reaver is another interesting one. Haste and Fear. When it deals combat damage to a player, you put a counter on it, and then you can basically bolt stuff equal to the number of counters on him on your end step. Bit Blast isn't a zombie, but just gives us some removal and then a cascade into what is like hopefully a lord or another big zombie. Grimgrin, Corpseborn. He enters battlefield tapped. You can sack a creature and untap him and put a counter on him, and then you can, when he attacks, you can destroy a creature. So he's really similar to Mundar in that way, but he really benefits from some of our token producers. We've got some typical zombie stuff like Rooftop Storm that we have because we're in blue, so we can pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost for zombie creature spells in our deck, which is absolutely ridiculous when you're thinking about dropping like a Cedrus or a Mundar. Yeah, we have Cedrus the Trader King as well, which just gives creatures in our graveyard unearth, and he just is a zombie himself. That's most of our big scary zombies. We've got a ton of lords in this deck, and kind of lord-like effects that play off zombie synergies. So we've got Cryptbreaker here. There we go. And so you can tap 3 untap zombies you control in Phyrexian Arena, essentially. Draw a card and lose life. We've got Necromancer Stockpile, which lets us discard cards so we can put cards directly into our graveyard. Creature cards directly into our graveyard. Get a token for it, and then draw a new card. Which is, and all the graveyard filler stuff is great because we can get any of our creatures back with Ravos if we want to, and then it also helps build up to having a really big zombie apocalypse, or using Balthor the Defiled, and returning all of our black and red creatures from our graveyard to our battlefield, as well as just a couple other kind of like return cards. Rise from the Grave's a lot of fun. It's not as great as a lot of Reanimator cards, but it turns whatever you reanimate into a zombie, so you can take good cards from your opponent's graveyards and turn them into things. We got like our Buried Alive, because it kind of acts like a tutor with Ravos, Frantic Search, and a couple other like looting style effects like Faithless Looting and stuff. For our actual lords, Diagraph Colossus doesn't give that like anthem effect that the other lords do, but he does give you extra tokens for each zombie spell you cast, and then he enters with counters equal to the number of zombies in your graveyard. So you can play him as a big dude for 3 mana, and then he gives you more zombies. We've got Lord of the Accursed, which is actually just a lord. Plague Belcher just reduces, he can be kind of a big body, and you can put the counters on like a token or whatever. When zombies you control dies, you can deal 1 damage. So if you get board wiped, you can end up dealing a lot of damage if you have a bunch of tokens out. Our Cemetery Reaper, which lets us hate on other creatures in other graveyards and make more zombie tokens. Death Baron, which is probably the best lord because he gives all of our zombies and skeletons, although we don't have any, Death Touch, as well as +1/+1. Lord of the Undead, so we can return zombies from our graveyard and just more Anthem stuff. And then we've got like Metallic Mimic, which just works in any tribal deck, and Adaptive Automaton, which again is another kind of put into whatever tribe you want deck. And then we've got Diagraph Captain, who has Death Touch himself, and then kind of has Plague Belcher's ability, and then just the Lord effect as well. And then we've got some other scary zombie synergies, so like Lich Lord of Unks. You can make little zombie wizards if you want, but his real strong ability is his second activated ability that makes players lose life and mill cards equal to the number of zombies you control. You can easily close out games with this. And then we've also got like our Undead War Chief. Zombies are less to cast, and then they get +2/+1. Risen Executioner, which we can recast from our graveyard if we need to. It's another Lord effect. Marauding Knight's in here just because I like it. It's in my Knight deck, and I've played it a couple times and built up quite a fondness for this card. It's just fun, and protection from certain colors can really help you out in different games. Liliana's Reaver gets us a few more tokens and is also just kind of a nice body. We have Korlash, Heir to Blackblade. He's really strong because he has Regenerate more than anything, but on top of that he is also a zombie that gets his stats from how many swamps we control, and it's, as far as our color distribution goes, it's very largely black, with more like splashing in red, white, and blue just for some extra support in the colors. Endless Ranks of the Dead spawns us lots of zombies. Balthor, his Anthem effect doesn't really apply, but you can kind of use him like a Living End, except it's just for black and red cards, so we're more likely to benefit of it. Of course, we've got Gary, the Grey Merchant of Asphodel, because he can really close out games and make a huge difference. Custody Lich is just a fun multiplayer card, because he also introduces the Monarch mechanic. Siphon Flesh just gets us tokens and makes our opponents sack. Anyone Rise. Corpse Connoisseur gets us another thing in our graveyard. Liliana's Mastery is another lord, but it's an enchantment instead, so it gives us a couple tokens, and then it gives the Anthem effect to zombies. Phyrexian Delver gives us a thing back, it's some life. Sidisi's another tutor for us. Vengeful Pharaoh's really fun to put in our graveyard because you can kind of act. It's kind of a political card because it just stops people from attacking you because they don't want to lose their stuff unless it's equipped with or has Hexproof or Shroud of some form. Our Dark Petitions in here. I usually don't love running a ton of tutors unless I'm doing like a pretty intense combo deck where I need really specific pieces. But Dark Petition's nice if you have Spell Mastery, because you can cast Dark Petition and then immediately go find like a Death Baron and play it right away because it's a 3-mana black creature. And that can make a huge difference on an attack. And then Gempalm Polluter has really cool synergy with Ravos. So you can cycle him, and then you can deal damage equal to the number of zombies you control when you cycle him. Kind of like Lich Lord of Unks' ability. But you get to draw a new card, and then you can just keep getting him back on your upkeep with Ravos. So you can just keep kind of burning people with Gempalm Polluter. Then we've got kind of our zombie themed board wipe necromantic selection, so we can destroy everything and then bring something back, and it's a zombie in addition to its other types. And then Dark Salvation is just kind of a removal card that also gives us some zombie tokens if we need them. And then yeah, there's just a couple other base cards in here like Vandal Blast. Just while looking at this deck list right here, there's a couple cards I probably would add. So like Soulless One is pretty strong. Just gets his powers equal to the number of zombies you control and the numbers in your graveyard. And I'd probably add a Nykthos because I don't actually have one. And usually Nykthos is a lot better in monocolor or dual color decks, but because this deck is so heavy into black, especially with its Devotion, because so many of these cards have like 2 or 3 mana symbols of black on them, that we'd probably get a pretty significant amount of value out of Nykthos and Soulless One as well. And then for our mana base, we've got all the triple lands from the Shards and the Khans sets that give us our three colors of our 4 on each of those. Got a Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, Evolving Wilds, and Terramorphic Expanse just to fetch out some stuff. You can see our basics here. It's very largely swamps. We've got up lanes in case we need to fetch it out, and then a couple mountains and a couple islands. Oh, we accidentally cut an island. And then we've got Exotic Orchard, which is almost a Command Tower usually. And then for us, kind of our more special tech lands, we've got Cabal Coffers because we have a lot of swamps, Crypt of Agadim, and then we have an Urborg to go with the Cabal Coffers and just make all of our non-basics into swamps as well. And then we're running all of the temples in our colors because I really like the mana fixing they provide. They're a little bit cheaper than a lot of dual lands, and they also give you that scry effect, which can be really nice. Okay, so that's the 4-color zombies deck tech. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.